Hey, Nichole Huntsman, your astrologer from moderncosmic.com. Lately I've been taking a peek at different people that I know personally and celebrities' charts, looking at their possible potential past lives and, looking at it from a soul evolution, evolutionary astrology kind of perspective, also known as EA, which is a type of astrology that was just sort of proposed by Jeffrey Wolf Green and astrologers such as Stephen Forrest, whom I personally love. And so the idea here being that astrology, yes, we can use it to study personality, and that's all good and well, but why not look at the deeper underlying causes behind why it is that we unconsciously repeat a lot of the patterns that we repeat in our behavior. And also, of course, you have to sort of be coming from the space of a belief in reincarnation and that the soul is not simply tied to the body and it exists for one lifetime and goes away. So moving from that premise, I mean, that's definitely what I believe in, this type of astrology that I practice, or else I feel like it would be quite shallow and surface, and I kind of feel like, how can I help you, just especially people who have difficult things in their charts? How am I going to help you with that? Okay, you've come with a really shitty communication style, or you're really paranoid, or okay, that's good to know, but why are we like this, and what can we learn from this? How can we sort of work with the things that are present? So last night I was looking at a few different celebrities, and in particular I'm like, I was on YouTube watching videos. I'm like, I'm gonna look at Beyonce's, because I've looked at it a few times, and I thought, well, I'll check it out again. So the one I used for her has a 4:37 a.m. birth time, and I think there's some conflicting data about when her exact birth time is. So this is not like a Rodden rating. It's not like a AA Rodden rating. As far as, I think it might be a C or something. I can't remember. But point being, the one that felt right to me was the 4:37 a.m. birth time, especially because of the placements, of course. So looking at this, I'm looking at first at her Pluto placement. She's got Pluto in the third house. It's, in Libra, which is the sign that has to do with partnering. This is a generational, everybody who kind of came forth. I have Pluto in Libra also. We have Pluto in Libra. It's a generation where we are learning about and we're redefining what relationship is. And in this modern world, she is holding space as sort of this modern woman who's balancing home and work, and doing it, I think, pretty admirably. So with that stellium there, which, a bunch of planets all lumped together there in Libra in her third house, first and foremost, Pluto shows where we have power. It shows where we've kind of mastered something. And with it in the third house, that's the voice. And she's a singer, that makes sense. It's also, though, the realm of the mind and how we think about the world around us, how we name things, how we explore the world around us. Pluto likes to have a little bit of control over things. It likes to, it likes to be able to manipulate the world around it. So with it comes, powerful singing voice. Clearly, you got Mercury in there, you got Jupiter. Obviously, she's got a fantastically beautiful, strong, rich, big voice. But also, she's somebody who's got depth to her. She's not, in my mind, when I look at her chart, I feel like she's got a moon of Scorpio in the fourth house. This is someone who has some intensity of focus, of emotional response, of intuition, and perhaps which can even err on the side of being paranoid, with it being square to her progressed moon in Aquarius right now in the seventh house. But anyway, so back to her north node. So her nodal axis, she's got her north node in the 12th house with this 4:37 birth time. And it's in the 12th house. It's in Leo, conjunct Mars, like 1 degree away. And Leo is the archetype of, it's the solar principle. It's the ego. It is, I am here, see me, right? Recognize me. Know that I'm here. It is very much the zodiac sign that I see prominently, that or fifth house, prominently in artist charts, performers charts, managers, people who are in management and business, those people who are in the limelight. There's an extroversion to Leo. But with it in the 12th house, the 12th house is to me kind of the black box. It speaks to, it gives me some clues about a person's past life existence. And with Leo there, I'm going, Mars and Leo, you are a dude. I'm thinking, even though it's conjunct her north node, which is where she's going in this life, it's still in her 12th house. And it makes me actually think of Leo. Well, how she gets on stage, she usually has big hair, right? Leo, like a lion's mane, Mars being the physical body. She steps into this character, Sasha Fierce, 12th house, Neptune, right? Like being a performer of some kind. She's playing a role, she's shapeshifting. But I do think she was masculine. I think, in fact, maybe, one of her more recent past lives that's informing this one was, I think she was maybe even a chauvinist. And, like a very confident, like, guy full of machismo, sort of like the dude she married, at least his persona, not necessarily, how he is as a human. And so then I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Now this is making a lot of sense. I do think also, if you look at the fact that her nodal axis squares her ICMC axis, which is the mother, the father, those roles, the roles of the familial gender roles. And there are other things as well. But point being, I then looked at Jay-Z's. He also has a 6th, 12th house nodal axis. He's got his north node, though, in Pisces, in his 6th house, so flip-flopped. So he's got his north node in this zodiac sign that has to do with finding meaning. And, there's an artistic element to Pisces. There is a desire to transcend the physical world, to move to that place where we're all unified, So that's why people who have strong Pisces in their chart many times are seeking for meaning, but they have to do it in kind of this, like, a roundabout way. But at any rate, with him, with it in the 6th house, with his south node in Virgo in the 12th house, I'm like, whoa, that's like a lot of past lives where he was perhaps the servant. He was perhaps the person who was in a role of being invisible and maybe even being female. And so as I was looking, let's see, he's got some squares to it too. It squares his ICMC axis as well. And his sun, Mercury, kind of midpoint, right thereabouts, also squares his south node. So I find that very interesting. He could have been somebody who in a past life was, there's a religious undertone to this. He could have been somebody who was involved in politics. Could have been somebody who didn't have a voice, wasn't heard, Mercury is in the 4th house and it's squaring his nodal axis, and that to me feels like somebody who has a desire to speak, somebody who has ideals they believe in, but they're coming from a space of maybe not being able to speak all the way. I think he's got a lot more to say, way more depth than what we've seen with what he's been like rapping about. I think his art is going to move more in the direction of social causes, social issues, like deeper meaning. Why are we here? His whole experience with Becky with the good hair, or whatever her name is, in the car, whatever, happened right about when his progressed moon was in Gemini or thereabouts. And progressed moon in Gemini I see all the time in the charts of couples where one couple will have this, or one part of the couple, and there's more than one woman, or there's more than one partner, there's some sort of like exploration that's happening inside of the person who's got their moon in Gemini, and many times they'll project it outside of themselves through behavior. They'll enact it with another person, another intimate contact. And so that's what happened here with Jay-Z. Now his moon, if the birth time frame is correct, has just moved into Cancer. That's home, that's family, that's the wife, that's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. That's like, I'm in the doghouse. In the 10th house of the father, it's him trying to clean up the mess that he's made. And in about 8 months, it's going to square his natal Uranus in the 1st house. In about 5 or so months, it'll square his moon, but then it'll square his natal Uranus. That to me is like having something unexpectedly happen relative to the wife, perhaps, where something comes out and it might be a big trauma to his ego. So I'm curious. I think ultimately this is going to move him beyond, like to a higher level and to a higher purpose with what he does with his art, where he creates some music that might be more socially inspired, less about like bitches and whips and like like my guns and my like just so materialistic and stupid and consensus mentality, as they would say in EA. Like so blinders on and not focusing on the things that really matter, which is more that this person is actually someone in my mind that I see as being someone who's pretty sensitive to like bigger social causes, interested in those things. So I think that's the direction he's going to be going with his music. Plus he's got a kind of save face, and he's kind of douche move, to be getting a blowjob from like Becky with the good hair in the back of your car or whatever happened. So he's going to have to kind of make good with the public. So we'll see. Anyway, that's my take on those two very quick and dirty forecast. There's much more to go into, but I just want to share my thoughts on their nodes and possible past life interactions with one another. So I think it's a little bit of a comeuppance. I think Beyonce, I think she's had her fair share in the past, like past existences where perhaps she's been the one doing the thing that Jay-Z did this time, and a little bit of a balancing, maybe a little balancing act there. But we shall see. All right, thanks for watching. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions as well.